White House, the Christmas tree is up in all its glory, ready for the first Christmas in the presidential mansion for Mr. and Mrs. Kennedy. A group of designers had a hand in decorating the tree in the manner of Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker Suite. The Christmas season brings Mrs. Kennedy to a children's hospital in Washington for a visit with ill and crippled children. The First Lady expressed a wish to make the visit so that she might try to bring a little cheer to the unfortunate tots who will have to greet Santa Claus here. Some just have visions of sugar plums as Mrs. Kennedy passes from ward to ward with a little token for each child. The gracious lady finds most a little shy, but none shy enough to refuse her gift. A Christmas visit in Washington, a glimpse into the busy life of the First Lady. Britain's elder statesman, the man who symbolized the strength and courage of a war-beleaguered people, celebrates his 87th birthday. Sir Winston Churchill's home in Hyde Park Gate, London, is showered with gifts from well-wishers to the man who stands among the greats in British history. His pace may have slowed, but indomitable as ever, he prepares to go to the House of Commons for a bipartisan tribute. The man who led his people through some of their darkest days, Mr. Churchill will live in the hearts of free people as one of the great men of our age. Happy birthday to Sir Winston. May there be happy years ahead. It's moving day for royalty on the other side of the world. The Japanese Emperor Hirohito is preparing to move with his family into a new home that will serve as the imperial household. A blend of modern and traditional Japanese styles, the house is the acme of comfort without being palatial. By coincidence, moving day for the man who was once called the Son of Heaven comes on the 20th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. The Western influence has invaded the palace grounds. Or there's a barbecue pit in the garden, air conditioning, television, and hi-fi in the house. It may not be a palace, but it's fit for an emperor. At the White House, President Kennedy receives Helen Keller. Deaf and blind since childhood, Miss Keller's hands, tapped by her companion Evelyn Side in the finger code, provide her chief perception and communication with the world around her. Miss Keller's life has made her a symbol of hope and achievement for the handicapped. In her remarkable career, she has met every president since Grover Cleveland. Now 80 years of age, but still alert and vigorous, Helen Keller continues her inspiring way. The story that had a grim preface in the horror of Nazi concentration camps comes to an equally grim end in Israel, as Adolf Eichmann is sentenced for his crimes against humanity. Defense attorney Robert Savatius will automatically appeal, but this is the end for Eichmann, who was seized in Buenos Aires in 1960 and spirited to Israel. The three judges started to study the evidence when the 4-month trial ended in August and found Eichmann guilty on 15 counts of the indictment. In his bulletproof booth, Eichmann sits stoically as the charges are summed up. The unseen witnesses against this former Gestapo colonel are the 6 million Jews he is convicted of slaughtering. Judges then call on the defendant to stand as they pass their sentence. The end of a trail of blood and horror. The end of a man whose name will be written in infamy. The man who escaped the Nuremberg war trials by fleeing to South America receives justice at the hands of the people whom he had aimed to wipe out. Queen Elizabeth's tour of India coincides with the nation's 11th anniversary celebration of independence. Elizabeth rides with President Prasad to the reviewing stand in New Delhi, where Prime Minister Nehru greets the royal party. Her Majesty, who once would have been Empress, now represents the Commonwealth, to which India proudly adheres as a free nation, one of Asia's major powers. Some 3 million watch the mammoth procession. Modern India recalls the colorful days of empire.
sounds of home with an Oriental flavor. Republic Day presents a dazzling panorama of India's many races and peoples in the gala parade. The modern as well as the picturesque, India's Air Force is represented by this float. Highlight of the parade, the traditional elephants recalling days of Mughal grandeur. India affirms for its royal visitor the closeness of traditional and Commonwealth ties of friendship with Britain. At a press conference, President Kennedy outlines the West's reply to Khrushchev's threats to sign a peace treaty with East Germany.
A city does not become free merely by calling it a free city. For a city or a people to be free requires that they be given the opportunity, without economic, political, or police pressure, to make their own choice and live their own lives. The people of West Berlin today have that freedom. It is the objective of our policy that they will continue to enjoy it. Peace does not come automatically from a, quote, peace treaty, unquote. There is peace in Germany today, even though the situation is abnormal. A peace treaty that adversely affects the lives and rights of millions will not bring peace with it. A peace treaty that attempts to affect adversely the solemn commitments of three great powers will not bring peace with it. We again urge the Soviet government to reconsider its course, to return to the path of constructive cooperation it so frequently states it desires, and to work with its World War II allies in concluding a just and enduring settlement of issues remaining from that conflict.
It's the night of the Blue Ribbon Sweepstakes in Hollywood, the Oscar Awards. Screen luminaries Tony Curtis and Janet Leigh are among the celebrities present. And so is Gene Simmons. Tonight climaxes a year of hard work. Tonight the best efforts in motion picture production are rewarded. Eva Marie Saint announces the Best Supporting Actor.
The winner is Peter Ustinov in Spartacus.
Mr. Ustinov gets his Oscar for his work in Universal Pictures' Spartacus, a spectacle that won 4 awards for a major share of the night's honors. A versatile writer, actor, and director, the bearded Mr. Ustinov is a popular choice with everyone. Hugh Griffith and the presentation for the Best Supporting Actress.
Miss Shirley Jones.
Shirley Jones came from the musical comedy stage to gain further triumphs in movies, and tonight is the grand climax to her career. She receives close to an ovation from the glittering crowd. The tension mounts as Greer Garson announces the Best Actor.
And the winner is Burt Lancaster.
Burt Lancaster played a convincing preacher in Sinclair Lewis's Elmer Gantry, a demanding role. Well done. Things move to a climax as all eyes are on Yul Brynner and the Best Actress of the Year award.
Elizabeth Taylor.
Convalescing from her recent grave illness, Elizabeth Taylor receives a prolonged accolade from the audience. It's a popular choice, an Oscar for the beauty who is a winner after 4 successive tries. Audrey Hepburn and the year's Best Picture.
The Apartment, Billy Wilder.
Billy Wilder accepts as producer. A gala night for filmdom. In Paris, the rites of spring begin in the chill of winter with the unveiling of new hats for the new season. This one is trimmed with 2 large roses, very feminine and very right for spring. Here's a convertible eye catcher, white toque with on-again, off-again straw picture brim. Here's a perky chapeau of Italian straw. Black leather has interesting possibilities, too. Dark satin, trimmed in black, gives this creation after-dark glamour. To enhance the mood, add a horsehair veil to this straw toque. Sou'westers are in to make sure this season won't pass without its fashion controversy. Call it chic or call it coal scuttle, as you will. You have to admit it's striking. Far-out fashions for men, tailored by some of the continent's leading stylists, take the spotlight for summer. It's a turnabout from the usual fashion show in which the drab male sets off the colorful attire of the opposite sex. The American influence is apparent in this cocktail cowboy suit. Fancy Dan cuffs on the trousers. Plenty of fancy trim is evident from neckline to ankle. Fine feathers for the bird with a flair for fashion.
New heights in entertainment are promised airline passengers as Walter Slezak delivers a print of the first motion picture to be shown aloft on a regular schedule. It's a print of Universal International's Come September, which stars Rock Hudson, Gina Lollobrigida, and Sandra Dee with Bobby Darin and Mr. Slezak. He has beautiful accompaniment as he boards the jet for the inaugural flight of Movies Aloft. They will be shown on 5 transcontinental trips and on flights to Europe. Curtain going up, so shades are lowered. The projector is hidden in the ceiling of the plane, and each passenger has lightweight earphones. So you just sit back, relax, and have a true bird's eye view of why movies are better than ever. Walter Slezak has a coveted role in Come September, and at this preview, the actor has a chance to be his own critic. He seems satisfied with his performance. Gina Lollobrigida would make a cross-country hop worthwhile, even if you had no place to go.
1961 was a year of international tensions, compounded by crisis after crisis. It was a year of riots in Cairo to protest Lumumba's death. It was Cuba in a red regime and Castro's boast that he had always been a communist. It was Chombe and warfare in the Congo, with that young nation torn asunder by civil strife. 1961 was Laos, now under the uneasy rule of a neutralist regime. And it was South Vietnam, battling red guerrilla. It was the year that the Algerian War continued to pit brother against brother. This was 1961. In January, John Fitzgerald Kennedy was sworn in as the 35th President of the United States and began the momentous task of guiding the nation through the critical years ahead. It was a solemn ceremony as he took the oath of office and assumed the burden laid down by Mr. Eisenhower. For a time, the very effectiveness of the United Nations was threatened when Dag Hammarskjöld was killed while on a peace mission to the Congo. The great apostle of peace had assumed his post in 1953 and brought to his work a dedication that won him international respect even from the Russians. They tried to remove him, but they could never question his integrity. U Thant of Burma succeeded Mr. Hammarskjöld to guide the UN during the parlous times it faces. Man had his first great success in space when the Russians pushed a man across the threshold. He was Yuri Gagarin, the astronaut the Russians lionized as the first to orbit the Earth. It was the propaganda coup of the year. After the Russian flight, U.S. plans were accelerated. Commander Alan B. Shepard was sent into suborbital flight. Unlike the Russian venture, this took place in the white-hot glare of worldwide publicity. The Mercury capsule is right on course as the commander took over the controls to become the first man to guide a spacecraft. 115 miles up, he went 300 miles downrange, right on target, and was picked up by waiting helicopters. triumph of Alan B. Shepard, U.S. space pioneer. Following in Commander Shepard's star-studded footsteps came Captain Virgil Grissom. Everything is A-OK until the heartbreaking finale. As the captain prepared to leave the capsule, explosive bolts on the escape hatch let go, and the Mercury is lost. However, the moon gets closer. The line of demarcation in the Cold War lies in Berlin. West Berlin, with its burgeoning prosperity, is a thorn in the side of the Reds. Refugees from the East escaped by the tens of thousands until the communists in desperation threw up their wall of hate to seal off the border. In a decade, more than 4 million East Germans fled their homes, causing a drain on communist Germany's economy that was called no longer tolerable. Their answer, the wall. Now entire families are separated, their only communication a wave from a distance. This is heartbreak. This is the poignant drama not found in the reports of diplomats. A bride in the East can only wave to her mother in the West. She takes her vows in public loneliness. The border is strengthened, but still they escape. She hangs from a second-story window. The Red police try to pull her back. The Westerners try to free their grip. East Germans grasp any fleeting chance. A guard's back is turned, the barbed wire is slashed, and Westerners stretch forth willing hands to pull them to asylum. They gamble that a sudden rifle shot won't end their dreams, that a slip won't bring disaster. Freedom is man's most prized possession, and it is only for those who love it. The future of the United Nations lies at stake upon the Congo issue.
We believe that the only way to keep the Cold War out of the Congo is to keep the United Nations in the Congo. And we call on the Soviet Union to join us in thus ensuring the free and untrammeled exercise by the Congolese people of their right to independence and to democracy. Mr. President, it is the security of all peoples which is threatened by this statement and by the proposals of the Soviet government.
The speech is interrupted by a well-organized demonstration in the gallery. Most of the group are American Negroes, members of African nationalist groups in New York. It's the most violent demonstration by spectators in the World Organization's history. The effect is to underscore the gravity of the Soviet threat. But Hammarskjöld stands firm, refusing to bow to communist pressure. His contention that disaster would result if UN troops leave the Congo is backed both by President Kennedy and by India's neutralist Prime Minister Nehru. As the riot is slowly put down, the stage is set for a test between the free world and the communist bloc, the most critical moment in the 15 years of the United Nations' existence. Roger Maris left and Mickey Mantle were murder and mayhem for the Yankees. Maris bloomed with his long ball in 1961 and scattered home runs into the stands like hailstones. He led an assault along with Mantle on Babe Ruth's home run record of 60. And for a while it was nip and tuck as to which of the two would be the one to break the record set by the Babe in 1927. Since Ruth's day, the season has been expanded, and Maris did not hit his 61st until the Yankees' final game. He didn't break the old mark within 154 games, but a new record he did chalk up. The Yankees were in the World Series again in 1961 against the Cincinnati Reds. Whitey Ford led the assault and pitched brilliant ball. His pitching, along with Yankee power, gave them the World Championship 4-1. Basketball in Boston. It's the NBA Finals with Bill Russell, number 6, brilliantly spearheading the Celtics before a capacity crowd of 14,000. The Boston Quintet dazzles the St. Louis Hawks with their fast break attack. visitors fight back to trail by only 5 points in the third period. Then Russell, Cousy, Heinzone and company start clicking. Playmaker Cousy, number 14, is in evidence all through the playoffs. With time running out, the Celtics have a solid lead, but they're still going. They clinch the series 4-1 with a winning score of 121 to 112. Watch Cousy slump exhausted as the final buzzer sounds. The price for the all-out play that brings the Celtics their third straight title. The Braves meet the Giants in Milwaukee, and baseball history is being made by Willie Mays, who faces Lou Burdett in the first inning and promptly smashes his first home run of the day. Only 8 men, including the great Lou Gehrig, have hit 4 home runs in one game. Today, Willie is joining that select circle. The say-hey boy was hitless in this series against the Braves until today, but he bounces back with a vengeance. His round tripper in the fourth is a 400-foot belt. The fences are bending today, for other players are on home run sprees too. Before the game's over, there'll be 10 circuit crowds, including the incomparable Willie's third blast in the 6th. All hit with everything behind it. The Milwaukee crowd is all for Willie now as he steps in the 8th and proceeds to poke his record-tying homer into the stands. Until today, Willie thought he was in a batting slump. Well, he found the cure by scattering baseballs into the bleachers. It was May's Day in Milwaukee as Willie found his page in the record book. Football provided some spine-chilling thrills. In the season's pro opener, Tim Brown of the Philadelphia Eagles took the opening kickoff from 5 yards behind his goal line and romped 105 yards for a touchdown. Ohio State had a brilliant season, and one of the reasons was Chuck Bryant, who took a pass from Joe Spama and snaked his way for a 62-yard tally. Ernie Davis, Heisman Trophy winner as the outstanding college football player of the year, sparked the Syracuse team with runs such as this one. That number 44 was murdered to the opposition. And as a grand finale, here's Dave Ramey of Michigan taking an Ohio State kickoff all the way home. 1961, a year of thrills in sports. For everybody from racing fans to football enthusiasts, 1961 was a year to remember. Once again, it's Carnival in Viareggio. And as in years past, as far as memory reaches, the Italian seaside town stages its inimitable extravaganza, the culmination of a year of planning and devoted labor. Imagination runs riot. One float is a mocking tribute to horror film star Count Dracula. King Baudouin of Belgium is caricatured, dragging the burdens of state, followed by a Charles de Gaulle in the same plight. A touch of topical comment doesn't seem to affect the gaiety of Carnival. After Carnival comes Lent, but let tomorrow take care of itself, says Viareggio. An oddball invention out of the past, but one with no future, was this tri-Libyan vehicle. It was tested in Washington by inventor Constantino Vlachos, whose own future was in doubt for a while. Vlachos was burned but not scared off. As soon as he got better, he was back to the old drawing board. Great art can be a moving experience, but if it moves, is it necessarily great? Avant-garde artists have put together a collection of modern mobiles on display in Holland that may be art and that certainly move, but it's every man his own art critic from here on. This little item not only classifies as far-out sculpture, but also turns out dandy abstract paintings. The scene is the Municipal Museum of Amsterdam, which goes for modern art all the way, which should dispose of the old myth about the Dutch being unimaginative. Whether you like it or not, it's enough to set anybody's head spinning. Time for the Navy Junior Boxing Finals at Annapolis, the 42nd in the series of bouts for Pee Wee pugilists, ranging from 5 to 14 years old. And all raring to go, every man jack. Spike Webb, famous Navy boxing coach, presides, and the first competitors have at it. This is really the paperweight division. Tiny tots with great big gloves and a double knockdown. These bantams are game little scrappers. Learning to dish it out and to take it at an early age is Navy tradition. Whatever happens, they keep the leather flying. This bout finds one junior boxer with a wait-and-see strategy. He mostly plays it cool, doesn't believe in wasting ammunition, but the other fella keeps up a barrage. He finally connects, literally nosing out the loser. Ah, a tough rat. There's one place in New England where basketball is the summer sport. It's at Bob Cousy's camp, Greylag, near Pittsfield, New Hampshire. The famed Boston Celtics basketball star is a man who knows how to combine business with pleasure. He has his small charges goggle-eyed at the way he can handle that ball. Time for lessons, and you can bet that nobody cuts classes here. Bob has willing and apt pupils as he passes on what he has learned during his years as a star. He's famed for his long pass as he sets up shots for the boys. But what Cousy likes best, and that goes for the kids, is when everybody gangs up to try to stop one of the game's greatest dribblers. He could probably dribble all over Times Square during rush hour without the help of a traffic cop. But let the small fry grow a few inches, and he won't get away with this. Or will he?
The Bulls seem to be holding their own. The hospitals hung out their standing room only signs early. When you get grounded by a bull, the best thing to do is stay grounded and hope. Maybe the reason the Bulls are doing so well is that they stayed sober. A more even contest is this one. They're both stunned for a minute, mark it up as a draw. As for the bullfighters, hold their aching back.